60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
In January 2018, Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, wrote a letter to the current president, Muhammadu Buhari. The letter was titled, "The Way Out, a clarion call for the coalition for Nigeria." Now, my host today says, and I quote, "Obasanjo exploits public ignorance for good effect." What is more important in the letter is his solution. Unlike other former heads of state, he is articulate, but he is not sincere in his motive. Obasanjo often flips out a two-edged sword, one side to the opponent's chest, the other to clear the way for his agenda. Obasanjo has been an opportunist and a beneficiary of other people's sweat. End of quote. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Angela Ajetomobi. He's an author and chairman of the editorial board of Nigeria's Nation newspapers and a Monday columnist. His column, In Touch, is a must-read for most Nigerians. Sam Omatseye joins me on the program today. I read your article responding to, the former president's letter. Do you believe he ought to have raised those concerns first, one-on-one with the president before bringing it out into the public domain, especially as only a couple of weeks or months back, he did say publicly that he was satisfied with Buhari's administration?
Yeah, he said he was satisfied with him from the point of view of a fight against corruption and security, and he said Buhari was not doing well in the area of the economy.
Yes.
Well, back to your question, should we have raised the issue to him, with him privately?
Yes.
What does Obasanjo gain from the privacy of wisdom? He has to make it public,
yes,
so that his vanity can be inflated and his sense of entitlement will be very much gratified. So that is Obasanjo for you.
Yes.
He's a public impresario, and he needs to do that in public in order to tickle the fancies of people and to raise attention to himself again.
All right, so if he said the right things in that letter, if we agree that some of the things he said were the right things, is he the right person to say those things? And I'm asking that question because many people say ignore the messenger and focus on the message. But since 1999, former President Obasanjo is the only democratically elected president who has served 2 terms as president.
Exactly.
And so looking at it and his admonition to this president not to consider a second term, is that, to ensure his place in history?
As the new one?
Yes.
You cannot rule that out for Obasanjo, because Obasanjo is a man who believes he is larger than life, but people have not accepted him as such. So it's a private frustration for him that people have not given him the kind of respect, yes, that he thinks he deserves, especially when you find that internationally he gets that kind of attention.
Yes.
So he needs that validation. It's a man who constantly needs validation.
Yes.
Yes, but Obasanjo is not the right person to say it. Obasanjo was saying it out of self-interest. He wanted to pull the man down. You know, they call the PhD, pull him down. Yes. I know in that era that Obasanjo is coming from, and he has so many things, so many bad things that have been associated with him, even when he was head of state, and all the things he accuses these people of, he has already been guilty of it. So why would you do that? It's hypocrisy. It's a grand case of hypocrisy by him to write such a very, very wordy, grandiose, self-serving letter. Yes. to accuse the government just because you feel that you have been head of state before. So he's taking advantage of his stature as a man of history and a man who Nigeria has had as head of state twice, and so on. So he has been doing that since the time of Shagari, when Shagari was head of state. He handed over to him. He hit him, and he hit everybody since then, including first incarnation of Buhari.
Since 1999, you know that President Obasanjo has been the only democratically elected president who has done two terms. And we know for a fact that he wanted a third term.
Yes.
He wanted to alter the constitution. Yes. Does he have the moral right to?
He doesn't have any moral right.
Say anyone shouldn't do a second term.
But morality doesn't mean anything to Obasanjo. Obasanjo is an amoral person. He's a man who just wants to get what he wants to get. And he believes that he has been getting it. And he believes that he has a Midas touch. He believes that anything he does, he gets away with. Yeah. So he keeps doing it and getting away with them. And now he thinks that he can do that since he sees that his road to these two parts are blocked. So he wants to create another road. You know, that's what they call the forked road, where a road that leads to two. Yeah. This could be the two roads that breaks into two roads. And he discovered that he can't go here, he can't go here. So what he wants to do is to go straight and build another road so that he can ignore these two. Yes. Well, good luck with that.
He wants to call the shots.
He wants to call the shots, yes. He has hit every administration since Shagari.
Yes.
Because he believes that he has to be the only one who has done well. And the only one who will be recognized as having done well.
What value should we then put on the contents of his letter, considering that he has his own burdens to bear? It is a fact that he did want a third term. It has been confirmed by many journalists who were involved at that time. Yes. Should we then place any value whatsoever? How can a man who wanted a third term, who wanted to alter the constitution, to give him a third term, tell somebody else
to have
a second term?
There's the ultimate moral issue with Obasanjo, that Obasanjo wants to be the man, and that is the story. Remember that this is just not about being president alone. Even when he wrote his My Command about his journey during the Civil War,
yes,
all the major players were bad. He gave kudos to people who will not necessarily will not affect his own stature in the war.
Yes.
But when it came to Shua, when it came to Adekunle, when it came to Gowon, when it came to every other person was a bad general.
Yes.
Obasanjo was the only good.
And I read and reread that letter, and one of the things I've been able to deduce from that is that, has he finally realized that his roles within the ruling party, the APC, and the main opposition party, the PDP, is limited because he was never the foundation of those parties? It seems to me that he would like to call the shots, like an Atiku perhaps does in PDP, or a Tinubu does in the APC. And so in writing this letter and taking this administration down with his words, he's laying the foundation for his own party to emerge.
he doesn't need to really be the founder of a party to control. I mean, when he was head of state, the PDP was in his fingers, around his fingers, wrapped around his fingers. He removed Speaker, he removed the Senate President, he removed the party chairman. He did all of that.
Yes.
He was a sort of a monarch in the party.
Yes.
And he installed a successor. So he had the power to do that.
Yes.
Now, he doesn't have that kind of clout. He had turned the party card of the PDP, which he did in a grandiose ceremony in public.
Yes.
Then he was with APC. And I had discovered, and he made it very clear too, that Buhari is surrounded by a cabal. And so he feels that the man has been so surrounded he cannot penetrate.
Yes.
So he has been alienated. So the letter was giving us a full measure of his frustration. So now that he cannot hold APC in the jugular, and he cannot go back to his vomit, which is the PDP.
Yes.
He wants to start something new. He wants to give a sense of his own relevance, because from the look of things, it looks like Obasanjo is becoming irrelevant. And Obasanjo cannot live with the idea that an Obasanjo is irrelevant in this country.
This is interesting. Let's look at some of the specifics that he raised in his letter, after making the analogy about head lice. He said, and I'm quoting him now, "The lice of poor performance in government, poverty, insecurity, poor economic management, nepotism, gross dereliction of duty, condonation of misdeeds, if not outright encouragement of it, lack of progress and hope for the future, lack of national cohesion, and poor management of internal political dynamics, and widening inequality are very much with us today." End of quote.
A lot of these things were with us when it was said.
I was just going to say, is this a myth promoted? I mean, in saying these things, are these things that he was able to achieve in his own
expression? Hitting the polity was what Obasanjo was accused of. It was always hitting up the polity, always creating tensions, whether it was religious, whether it was political, whether it was him going after his enemies, and so on, trying to arrest and orchestrate the arrest of his political enemies. He was always hitting there, and also, trying to go around the rule of law, trying to tinker with the Constitution, or break down the position of the National Assembly and so on. He did a lot of things that really portrayed him as unpatriotic, as a gerrymanderer, as a man of complete egoistic manipulations. So he has no moral right to say those things. You see, it's one thing for you to say that he's saying the right things.
Yes.
But after you swallow that, you want to be very sure that the plate, you have the very interesting dish on the plate, then you're not too sure that the dish is clean enough for you to eat that food, even though you're hungry.
After that first paragraph, then, he went on to list what he had been doing since he purportedly tore his PDP card 4 years ago. He says he's devoted time to zero hunger as contained in Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, education in some states, youth empowerment and employment, all to give hope and future to the seemingly hopeless and those in despair. He also went on to boast about the work he's doing for the UN. Am I forgiven for thinking that he's speaking like somebody who wants to contest an election or be a presidential candidate in a future election?
No, I don't think he wants to do that. He can't contest for the position again.
Yes.
And the thing is that he wants to always be the kingmaker.
Right.
he feels that has left him. He didn't install Buhari, he installed Jonathan as it were because he installed
Yar'Adua.
So it felt like this should continue being in my hand. Now this thing is out of my hands. I have to start something and shake it up so that I will be a kingmaker again. Now he's no kingmaker, and it's likely that we are seeing the non-dignities of Obasanjo as a political player in Nigeria.
Non-dignities. The clincher for me in that article seemed to reveal the mission as well. No hope, no bright future in the horizon, lack of direction, no choice. Are these allegations true?
For most part, Nigerians feel so, that this is a government that does not really show a great sense of direction. In the war against corruption, it has just been prosecution without conviction. It's been collecting of money without really accountability.
When you say collecting money,
money withdrawn from the thieves. You collected the money. There's no accountability. This is how much you have got, this is what you're going to do with them, and so on. So while we know that the war against corruption is yielding some fruits, there's no real clarity as to what is the mission of this vision, or what is even the vision of this mission. You don't have a clear sense of what we are up to with that. Now, it is done well with the fight against Boko Haram. They've done really well in that regard. What is happening now is the intelligence. How do we make sure that these battles are won and we don't have these unpredictable suicide bombings and so on and so forth. We have not been told how much progress we are making in that regard and how long this is going to last and so on. I know that in modern warfare, it gets really tricky when it gets to this kind of situation, because you just have to be wrong once and then the market blows up and so on and so forth. But we have not seen any systematic progress in terms of what you are doing to desensitize the society to this depravity that is going on in that part of the country. You see, the Borno State governor is doing some work in education and so on, but it needs help from the center, because this is a major security problem in terms of trying to change the mindset of the people and make them understand that violence is religious fanaticism and all of that do not help us, and that what you need is education, and we need to move into a modern world. So you can see that in the area of the economy, there's a problem. There's not much investment, the jobs are moving at a slow pace. They stabilize the currency, but the currency is very, very high compared to the dollar. When I came back to Nigeria in 2006, it was barely 100 to a dollar. Now it's 360, 365. So there's a sense that things are not good, and people are leaving the country. I went to one of my banks the other day. People are usually give me quick transaction and service. They have all gone to Canada. Two women, one of them went to Canada with her husband. The other one went to the US with her children and her husband. So they all left. So you can see that people are showing increasing distemper, increasing rage, increasing impotence about the situation in the country. So we need to do something about it. That's why Obasanjo said the right things, but there was nothing original about what he said, because everybody had been saying this. But he took advantage of that because of his stature, a former head of state, a man who has been around, a public figure, and used that to hit at the man.
Join us again after the break. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajitumobi. On my hot seat today, Sam Omatseye is the chairman of the editorial board of Nigeria's Nation newspaper. Did he deliberately paint a picture of utter failure of this administration just for the purpose of promoting and justifying the formation of Coalition for Nigeria?
Of course he did that. He had to destroy one to build on.
Yes,
so that's what he did.
and on the APC and PDP, he says it's like a choice between evil and evil. Any selection or defection would be a distinction without a difference. Is he right?
He's right, because we discovered that in Nigeria there's no ideology between the two parties.
Yes.
Anybody from this party can join the other party, and it's the same thing.
Yes.
So it's almost like half a dozen and suspense. All the people you see in APC today were PDP.
Before.
Some of the governors, some
Yes.
of the ministers, and so on, the PDP, but they've just blended into the shrubbery as if nothing happened, you know.
Now that the coalition for Nigeria has been launched, how would you assess the coalition itself? It was launched on Wednesday, the 31st of January 2018, facilitated by former Governor Olagunsoye Oyinlola. How would you assess?
You can see my article. I said that it's going to be a party of malcontents trying to rescue the discontents. You can see Olagunsoye Oyinlola is a past governor.
Yes.
And a man who has been out of sync with the party establishment.
But he is
and
a member of the ruling party.
He's a member of the ruling party, but what kind of member is he? There's no great shakes in the APC. APC will shake him out. And APC will not miss him.
Yes.
So I said they are malcontents. They're going to rescue the discontents.
Yes.
You know, the real powerful people in APC remain in APC. The real relevant people in PDP remain in PDP. So you are taking the float stamps and the jet stamps to come and form a party.
They've gone to great pains, especially retired Colonel Oyinlola, to say it is a movement, not a political party. What does that mean?
It's just use of language to elevate something that has failed to rise. That's what it is. Because the appearance of a person like Oyinlola in that party shows that you're not draining any swamp. You're still bringing from the same old thing.
Yes.
So he doesn't have any new platform to work on. I mean, you are bringing an Oyinlola. And Oyinlola does not change anything. He was not a good governor. Remember, he was voted out by his people.
Yes.
So you're looking at Obasanjo trying to swim in dirty water and pretending that it's as blue as the Atlantic Ocean.
Colonel Oyinlola has an appointment with this government. I think he's a board member, one of the boards, NIMC, if I remember correctly. And he's also a member of the party.
Yeah.
In forming this, does it not amount to anti-party activity?
Well, let APC decide that.
Okay. Is it too late for it to evolve into a party? If it evolves into a party,
It's not too late to evolve into a party. The point is, what kind of party will it evolve into?
Will they be
Will
able
it
to?
be formidable?
Right.
Who are the people going to go there? Will Obasanjo be able to really muzzle the influence that is required to bring down the APC? Because APC, no matter what you think about it, no matter how badly Buhari is seen to have done so far, he's still the strongest player around. And that is probably sad, but that is the fact.
Yes. That statement you made is probably the strongest around. When I said to a friend I was interviewing you today, they were shocked that your article responding to Obasanjo's letter, they thought you would be one of those who would be hailing Obasanjo for writing that letter.
I can't be hailing Obasanjo because I can't be hailing an opportunist. I can't be hailing somebody who is trying to hit a person who is down and calling himself the champion wrestler. I can't do that. Yes. I know why they're saying that. They're saying that because I've taken on the Buhari administration, and I have. But I still think they're the strongest player. Unfortunately, if PDP does not get somebody viable, Buhari is still going to be the game. Then we'll have to try to see whether we can make him do
What do you mean if PDP don't get someone viable? I thought the defection of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Atiku is no better than Obasanjo. Atiku is the serial adulterer of Nigerian politics. He is the man who will move to any party that shakes its metaphoric skirt to him. He has moved all around. Yes. He moved from PDM, or what they call his party.
PDM, yes.
PDM. He moved to PDP, moved from PDP, moved to ACN when he became the candidate, and he moved from ACN, he went there. I remember this fight with Obasanjo.
Yes.
I had a laugh, me too, I had a laugh too, but they were laughing. At the same time, he moved from ACN. When they came with APC, he actually asked I'm telling you from authoritative source, he asked them to come and invite him to APC. So they gave him that, they brought him to APC, he wanted what he wanted, he didn't get it.
Yes.
Remember I called Buhari the father of the nation, just when he won the election. I discovered that they were not giving him the kind of entrances and exits that he wanted, and now he has exited again. So it's old for me to PDP. So it's all about him wanting power. And it was one about him wanting to seize an opportunity to get what he wants.
Yes.
Except that it doesn't have the dramatics of Obasanjo.
Yes.
It's not different from Obasanjo, when he was vice president. They are all both opportunists after what they can get for themselves.
What about the Senate president? I was reading some of the newspapers this morning, one especially talking about the excitement within the PDP about possible return of Senator Kwankwaso and Senator Saraki to the fold of the PDP. Will Senator Saraki be a formidable opponent?
Saraki is one of those Nigerian politicians suffering from delusion of grandeur. You know, he's Senate president today, we know how he got it. He didn't get it because he's such a popular man and so on. He did it by sleight of hand and so on. The PDP wanted to take advantage of a naive president.
When you say naive, he didn't play the politics?
He didn't play the politics. He believed that he has gotten what he wanted and allowed the party to be overthrown under his very nose. Maybe to a military coup, he was gone. You know, he was a soldier, and that's why when he was in the army, it's this kind of attitude that made it easy for people like Babangida to sweep him out of power. So Saraki is such a person that does not even have that kind of popularity in Kwara State where it comes from. So him trying to think that he will make any such great shakes in the political arena if he moves to PDP. You know, I don't think he will move to PDP because he knows that if he goes to PDP, he has cases to answer in court and they could just take advantage of that to join him. As for Kwankwaso,
yes.
Kwankwaso is also suffering from delusion of grandeur. His strong base is Kano, and in Kano he wants to compete with Buhari, who today has no equal in the north in terms of political influence.
Yes.
In the electoral level.
Yes.
Nobody can stand Buhari today in the north as we have it today.
In the 19 states?
In the 19 states in the north. Well, if we are counting 19 states, we are putting Benue there. I don't think it's that strong in Benue. But I say in most of the states in the north, I mean, you put Taraba there, I don't even know where we put him now,
yes.
Adamawa and so on. Who could be vulnerable there, but it still has a strong following in those places other than Benue. So Kwankwaso is a no-starter. And Kwankwaso has no appeal outside of Kano. Not to talk of in the south, where he came to Lagos to come and cause confusion in Lagos. Is it my 12 market, where he wanted to set off the northerners against the locals. And also in Ife, during the crisis, he went there to be a poisonous interloper. A man like that has no influence. He's suffering from delusion of grandeur. He should just retire to his home and start chewing his cord. People like that live in the universe of lies. They don't belong to the atmosphere of political sanity.
All right. So everything that former President Obasanjo said the coalition would do has already been enumerated by the Nigerian intervention movement.
Yeah.
Many people thought the two were the same.
No, they're not.
But you know, we've seen Olisa Agbakuba come out to say,
no, we are not part of this.
We're not part of this. But we did see former Cross River State Governor Donald Duke
yes.
At the launch of the
CN.
Yes.
Donald Duke has been jobless for a long time. So Donald Duke will be happy for somebody to really say, oh, come along, you know, after a long while. So people have said Donald Duke did well as governor because of his TINAPA thing. This is neither here nor there. TINAPA was a great idea. The thing is that there is no success without succession. Without successor or without succession.
Yes.
And maybe because we cannot see TINAPA bear fruit after that, we cannot say Donald Duke was that successful. So it's a very cruel judgment of history, but that is what it is. Because you don't build a foundation and say you have a great house or you're a great builder. So you have a great foundation, but if the house does not stand on it and we don't live in it and enjoy the fruit of it, you cannot say you really
it is great.
You really built a great house or you're a great builder.
Yes.
You never will.
Yes.
You never had that opportunity to do so. People have always said that John F. Kennedy had great potential. if he had lived long. Well, he never lived long. So we don't have that opportunity to say what kind of president he was going to be.
Does it appear to you that the coalition seems to have taken the velocity out of what the NIM, the intervention movement, was doing? Before Obasanjo's letter, the NIM seemed to be the third force, you know, for want of a better word to use. People coming together to say, we need an alternative, we need a movement, we need to change things. And then Obasanjo's letter comes, and now we're talking about a coalition. Can any of them rock the boat of either the APC or the PDP?
These are mavericks. You know, mavericks hardly get things done.
Yes.
What mavericks eventually do is that they help other people win. That's the nature of history. One, do they have the resources? One, do they have the grassroots pool? Now, all those things are very important.
When you say grassroots pool, is that because they seem to be focused on social media, and people miss the point that in Nigeria, the social media is not yet accessible to the grassroots?
No, it's not. Radio is more important than social media in Nigeria today. Radio. And people don't know that. In the North, for instance, radio is the principal source of grassroots mobilization. In the North today, not grassroots. Those people cannot text. They cannot scroll on the phone.
So they gather in groups listening.
They listen to radio. And one of the potent forces is political music in the North today.
Political music? What is political music?
Music that is sing to serenade the political leader or to condemn or appropriate a trend in politics. Buhari had a number of songs like that. Galvanized people to him, and so on. People really heard them on radio. So
the music praises him and...
Praises him, talks about his virtues and so on.
Yes.
And people listen to it. And you know, in the South, sometimes we are so ignorant about some of the things that go on. We live in our own world. We don't know what is going on, how politics plays itself out in that climb.
Any of the newly registered political parties, there are few now, and they're all, you know, very vibrant on social media. Do you think there's any that is a threat?
Most of them are waiting to be invited by the big political parties.
When you say invited, to do what?
I'm forming a political party as a bargaining chip. So I go there, so they come, give me this, give me that. Have you seen any of them really make any noise?
Support me.
Support me.
So we're stuck with APC and PDP for now.
I would say we are more stuck with the APC.
What, is that because the PDP still hasn't gotten it right?
The PDP is still limping. That's it.
I thought after that Supreme Court decision, after Markafi and all that...
They still have a lot of healing to do. I don't know whether they have enough time for that. Remember, they had their party convention.
Yes.
And there was a lot of recriminations, a lot of accusations, and a lot of slur.
Yes.
Tribal slur from some of them, including Wike of Rivers State. Governor Dixon had been trying to go around to
calm things down.
But there was also an alienation of the Southwest in the scheme of things, in the way the party convention ended, in the sense that they didn't think Southwest was important in the scheme of things. They have still muddied the waters. So how are they going to really rise out of it? We will see.
Can the PDP win the presidency without the Southwest?
Well, the history of Nigeria has shown that nobody has won the presidency without the Southwest.
Really?
Yes. Nobody has won the presidency in Nigeria without the Southwest. Buhari's former figures, all these elections, remained the same until the last one. And the last one was different because it got the Southwest.
So you ignore the Southwest at your own peril?
At your own peril.
Former President Obasanjo says that if the movement, the coalition, if it evolves into
a stage of
sponsoring
that is the who chief at his best. It's not like Totem. I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. Not be me, not be me, not be me. And then you discover that it's actually pulling the streets away. Don't trust that man. He's a general. Now one of the things they do is stealth.
Yes.
They want to act with stealth, and that's surprise.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Don't believe him there. I don't think he believes himself when he says. I would say Obasanjo smile when you say so.
And when you saw those photographs of him with President Buhari at the recent Africa Union meeting, you know, they're laughing. heartily.
That's typical Obasanjo. Remember that, as I said in the article,
yes,
that when he removed Chuba Okadibo from the National Assembly, he was dancing with his wife the previous day in the party.
Yes.
I said, when the man dances, be careful. When they wanted to remove Adolphus Wabara,
yes,
in the mockery of homosexual love, he put cake inside his mouth.
He fed him cake.
He fed him cake, yes. And then to remove Audu Ogbe as party chairman, he was eating pounded yam with him. So, for him to go and meet Buhari and shake hands with him, yes, it's part of the game of false affability, of deceptive friendship. Of meretricious goodwill.
I know Lai Mohammed, the Minister for Information, responded to that letter.
Yes.
We'll come to that later. Should the presidency itself have responded to the letter?
Well, whether they should have responded or not, it's become news because they didn't respond, and many people have responded on their behalf, including myself, as it were.
Yes.
You know? It looks like they decided to ignore him because, in a sense, they respect him as an elder statesman and they didn't want to really war with him, partly because they are not equipped dialectically to handle matters of intellectual rigor like this. Whether you like it or not, Obasanjo knows how to argue his case. I don't think they found themselves in a good position to really confront him. And so, who lives to fight another day should do the same.
Could it be because the president himself said, don't respond?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the president himself is saying don't respond, partly because of what I've said.
Yes.
And they feel that they're probably not equipped to deal with this man. And partly because of the deference of military order. He was his commander. Remember, he also served under him in the Civil War.
Yes.
So,
were you satisfied with Lai Mohammed's response?
Nah, Lai Mohammed did not handle the issue of nepotism. He only handled the issue of we have done
the economy,
we have done this, we have done that, done this for power, we have done this for this, we have done this. He didn't tackle the issue of the herdsmen, nepotism, the alienation of the people, the condonation of indiscipline, a la Maina, Gate, and things like that. He didn't tackle them. So it was a tepid and cowardly response by Lai Mohammed.
We'll take our final break now. When we come back, I want us to start from the point of this nepotism and the fact that I think perhaps when one is talking about security, can one fault a president for only wanting to work with those he trusts? Join us again after the break. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with Sam Omatseye. If we're talking about security, a lot of people have said all his security men are from the north. I just read a list of them: the Defense Minister Dan Ali, Interior Minister Lawan Dambazao, the National Security Advisor Babagana Monguno, Chief of Army Staff Tuku Buratai, the Director General of the DSS Zlawa Odaura, the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris, Director General of the Intelligence Agency Ahmed Abubakar. They're all northerners. What is wrong with a man working with those he can trust when we're talking of matters of security?
You know, on the surface, it looks like you have logic there. But when you want to run in a country of diverse people, you are saying that you do not belong to all of the country when you say you can only trust people from only one part of the country.
Yes.
You have no right to tell yourself that you want to run that country. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
I cannot say that I have 5 children, I've been familiar with 2, therefore I only do things with 2. Then I'm not a father of those children. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
You cannot say that the only people you can trust with security are those people who come from your area. It is not done anywhere. And then it is done, it's nepotism. And we have to say that that is not national spirit.
The matter of the herdsmen, Amnesty International has already said recently that Nigeria's response is inadequate. 717 people at least killed in the last 2 years. But the issue of herdsmen didn't start in Buhari's administration. It's been with us for a long time. Why are people tying it in with President Buhari? Is it because he's Fulani?
That's a good question. The thing is that this thing has been with with us for a while, and it has caused a lot of trouble. And we remember this thing started in Plateau.
Yes.
Plateau was where it really got really out of hand. It was during the time of Ibrahim Babangida when they redrew the local government map in Plateau State, and the so-called settlers were given their own local government, and it created bad blood between the Biron and the Fulani. And it was from there that we started seeing these tensions, you know, go on. Samuel Along has tried very well, to a great extent, to try to see that there is some kind of arrangement of understanding between these two groups and so on. It can never be perfect and so on. There were some killings recently and so on with castle rustling, which incidentally were done by the Fulani. The Fulanis were the one even stealing the cattle from their own people and so on. So this thing has been around for a while. The question is not whether these things have continued. The question has always been, you are supposed to be their grand patron. You have not done anything in public to chasten them. So by your silence, you are perceived to encourage them.
Okay.
And by being perceived as encouraging them, anything they do is seen to bear your imprimatur. It might not be true.
Yes.
But that's the power of perception. Knowing that, you ought to have stepped in.
Publicly
And effectively. Remember that at one time he went to Oyo State, and Lamadishina was governor. And he berated the governor for working against his people. This is a man who has been head of state governor, GOC, member of Security Council, and so on. Still speaking in such sectional register. So all of these feed into this biography of a sectional figure. So for him to get into office and not hold them accountable and not even rebuke them publicly or use strong language. The only time he wore military uniform was when he was doing something for them somewhere in Adamawa or Taraba State to show that, look, I'm with you guys. It's symbolic. Military uniform is a militant regalia. Almost as though I'm in this battle with you. It is not done. And then the Benue thing happened. The Benue elders invited themselves to Aso Rock. He didn't invite them. He invited themselves to Aso Rock. He accepted them. And on top of it, he insulted our sense of unity and also the solemnity of the dead by saying that you should accommodate your countrymen. In other words, it is the fault of the Benue people that 73 of them died.
Do you think this herdsman issue will play a major role in the coming elections?
There's no way we can underplay the role the herdsman crisis will play during the next election. The Buhari administration has to be sensitive to the implications of it. Even in the Southwest, there's an increasing resentment towards that. There's crisis, burning of Falai's farm and another farm in Oyo State. And there was a killing of somebody in Ogun by a herdsman, and so on. So the pain is there. So the question is, though, we still go down to the brass tacks. We stuck. Looks like we are. And there's a question which is getting very, very important and trending is if Buhari has done so much mistakes, the trend is to get another Northerner to that position. The people are asking, do we want another Northerner to be there for 8 years?
Which means
or
we
have 12 years. And then if you count that of Yaradua, you're probably another year. So some people are saying, well, it would be better for us to just let him have his 4 years. And then everything will come back to brass tacks. Those are things that are still going on in the air. The people will have to decide that.
That's a very vibrant point, because if a new Northerner comes in, it's a fresh 8 years.
That's what Jonathan was planning to do.
Yes.
Jonathan will have had 10 years.
And I don't think the Constitution anticipated that
yes.
kind of
They didn't, but they cannot work against it. The thing is, time passes so fast, and we don't know. President Clinton was asked by Rubenstein, the TV host on Bloomberg, about life after power, looking back. What were your reflections? He said, what people don't know is that time passes. You don't know how fast time passes. Sometimes I look back at when I was a child and I was looking at being 50 as something that was never going to come.
We're really old.
We're really old. And it looks like yesterday that I was thinking like that. See how time passes.
So, you know, former President Obasanjo, coming back to him, he concluded his letter, one of his conclusions was, some people would say, what does Obasanjo want again?
Exactly. You want to be wiser than the tortoise. By saying that, you know, there's this Yoruba proverb that I don't know how they say it, that if you don't call a man a thief, he calls you a thief. so because he calls you first, then you are the thief. That is what he's doing. But we are onto him.
And where do we place that letter now? Now that the African Union has nominated and honored President Buhari as an anti-corruption icon or champion of Africa, why don't many Nigerians see it that way? If the AU chairman, Rwandan president, sees it that way and says Africa must emulate Buhari's fight against corruption, a cankerworm that must be destroyed.
Foreigners don't live our experience. It's always like that. It's just like a foreigner trying to tell us what our best movie is, what our best literature is. It is what is best in their eyes. It is not our best. It is what is best in their eyes. It's what they see. They can't tell us who our best leader is. We have to say it ourselves because we are the one living the experience. So for them to give him that, he has tried the bit he could. We have to give him credit. But Nigerians who are living through it will know the shortcomings of this.
And some of those shortcomings are the matter of the former secretary to the government or the federation. We still haven't seen prosecution. Is it too late for President Buhari to turn things around?
Not too late. It's not. He has a lot of time to do. Within 6 months, he can change perceptions.
What things do you think he can do to change perception?
First, prosecute these people. Babachir Lawal, the other guy in Meina, do something about them. Prosecute the former security advisor. What is going on there is revenge, Sambo Dasuki, and the Isaac Zaki guy. Follow the rule of law. Do that. Communicate with the people often. He has done, was it only one press chat? I don't think he was comfortable with that. Answer and talk to Nigerians. He's too stiff as a person, and he has a face of what I can describe as a fanatical solemnity. A face as if, you know, I'm just cool, nothing can happen because God has made it so. You know, that kind of stoic acceptance, even when there is rot around. You know, you don't do democracy that way. So you can sit on things around. It can galvanize the work going on. The Minister of Works has a lot of enthusiasm, but the Federal Executive Council they are not creating atmosphere for him to work. They're not working with the legislature to work well with him.
Yes.
Yeah. So he cannot do more than the system allows him. It's a very frustrating thing. So that look at power. They say on transmission, we have 7,000 generating 7,000 megawatts, but we cannot transmit. Most of it, a lot of it goes to waste because we cannot transmit more than 4 or so at a time or something. So.
Would it be the same thing if the vice president steps up to speak or communicate with Nigerians?
It's not the same thing.
It's not.
It's not the same thing. It's not.
We need to hear from him.
We need to hear from him. He's the manager.
Are you upset that he doesn't visit these places when we have mayhem, like in Benue when 73 people were killed? You think the president should be seen?
He should have gone there. He should have gone there.
There were security concerns.
He should have gone there. That is the more reason. When you go there and then you talk empathy, you disarm them. I remember the story of Richard Nixon during the Watergate crisis.
Yes.
And students and all kinds of people were protesting against him and so on. And the security people said, no, Mr. President should go in. No, he said he was going to meet them. And he walked out and went to meet them and started asking them questions and debating them. You know, he disarmed some of them just by appearing and trying to engage them. That's what a leader does. You go there and stick your neck out.
And I can't let you go without talking about this so-called meeting. They say senior editors met with the the governor of Kaduna State, El Rufai, Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, Minister for Labour, Dr. Chris Ngige, and the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Osita Okechukwu. Were you among those editors who met with them?
Yes.
You were? Can you confirm that?
Well, they were not supposed to say what the meeting was. So I just abide by the code of silence.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great having this conversation with you. I
No
always
problem.
look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajitmobi.